Go to the cloud. Where is it? Okay. Hello, everybody. So today is going to be our assignment 2 question and answer session. So the main goal is to remind you a few things, right? So important things. Then I'm going to go over the parsing function in a Titanic notebook, because this is very important when you, especially when you start working for part 2, you need to edit it to make it work for part 2. Then some steps to use with pipelines, and then we'll have question and answers, whatever questions you might have. So here are the reminders. Promise me and promise yourself that you're not going to upgrade your IBM Cloud account. By upgrade, I mean you're not going to enter the credit card number, okay? But there is something that you're gonna need to be doing. There is something that you're gonna need to do soon, so stay tuned. You will need to enter the promo code. That's for the assignment 3, but the code is not available yet. So stay tuned. There'll be instructions for IBM Cloud, but please, at any time, do not enter the credit card information. You're not gonna get more hours by entering the credit card, okay? You're not, but you may end up being charged for things without being aware, and then your subscription is not going to be no longer academic, and this cannot be undone, okay? So please do not open any tickets unless you're instructed to. Well, I'm serious. We had a student in the past who attempted the IBM to do the homework for her. No, no, no. That's disqualifying, so please don't do that. Now, and still, this is important. When you upload the notebook, right, you need to upload the data first. Otherwise, the session data frame option is not available. That's how it works. At some point, it was not matter, but now it is. Now, before you exit, you need to stop the runtime environment to consume the hours. Because if you don't stop, it keeps on running until the session times out, and it keeps on burning your hours, right? So now there is something in the Titanic notebook that very important. Well, first of all, what we're doing in here is you need to, in order to run the logistic regression, you have to define something called a label document. And we need to have a row in the form of a person ID, which should be something like a unique identifier, right? Then person info, it's going to be a delimited list of fields that we're using as predictors. And label is going to be what we are trying to predict. So in case of the Titanic data, label is whether the passenger survived, right? So person info is going to be the passenger class, age, and sex, right? So label is going to be either 1.0 or 0.0, which means the passenger died. And then what we did was we defined the custom parsing functions that we call to parse the, well, basically we have the file, right? The data is being read from the file into data frame. Then we need to loop through the rows and parse them, right? So what this doing here, remember that it's gonna filter out, it's gonna remove the first row with the variable names, right? See this? So the row that contains a name, right, will be removed. Name is the name of the column, right? Now here, it's gonna call, this is a custom function that is defined above, way above in the document, in a notebook, right? And then it's loading the parse data into the data frame. But what do I mean by parsing function? So here, what you will need to do is this. I recommend doing it this way. You want to list all your variables, right? in the same order as they appear in the data. Like for example, in the Titanic data, you have the passenger name is on position 0, class is on position 1, age in the position 2, sex in position 3, then survived, and then person ID. One thing to remember is that in Python, the positions are numbered starting from 0. Okay. So what is it doing here? See this, by if you list like if make a list like this, you're helping yourself here because see this, the label document, it takes a form of a person ID, which is what? Unique person ID. It goes in here. Then person info. In this case, we're not taking the passenger first and last name because this is identifying information. We don't want this to be part of our classification, right? So we're not using this, but instead we have to use the class, right? Age and sex. So here, this is going to be this delimited list, right? And label, this is in a position 4, right? The dependent variables that we are trying to predict is in position 4. That's what it is. Now, what we have to do is we need to check if it's 0, right? If it's greater than 0, then it's going to be 1.0, otherwise it's 0.0, because we have to code it as 1.0 or 0.0, all right? Here, what it's doing, it's taking a delimited list of the dependent variables, which is position 1, it's a P class. Well, here, position 2, which is age, and this is the sex, right? So it's taking a space delimited list, and it's setting it to text value. It's a local variable that's used here. And in here, it's going to return the label document, right? I hope so far so good. And this one, the element at position 5, which is a person ID, right? It's a unique identifier in here. So this is a parsing function, and this function is being called later in the code, right? So I did not want to give you the answer, so that's the reason I put this on a slide. Now, next thing is that we split data into training and test set. So let me see, we have questions. Okay, it looks like the target has both 0 and 1. Yes, the target has 0 and 1, but we have to convert it to 0.0 and 1.0. It has to be a float. Otherwise, later on, you get unexpected result. We'll see it. If you don't put it as float, you're gonna get an error. Okay, so that's one reason people are getting an error, because it has to be 0.0 and 1.0. Yes, target variable is we predicting if the person survived. How would we create plot frequency table? That's an excellent question. And the plots are also created in the code. So I have the code open, but I erased all of the output. So we can look at this. See that here? It's over here. When you basically when you load the data, you're gonna be loading it into the data frame, right? And also you'll be loading it in a data set, right? Well, you'll be loading it in a data frame and RDD. Sorry. Then what you're gonna do here? You're gonna do the data exploration. This is similar, a little bit similar to what you did in a last assignment. But this one supposed to produce the counts, number of passengers who survived and number of passengers who died. So if you run this should produce a little table. This is how you can do it this way. See, you can do it like this to show the frequency count. How many survived, how many died? Yes, let me see. Sorry, I'm confused. How can both 0 and 1 reference the same outcome? No, no. There is a variable, right? Where I don't want you to feel yourself confused, but what it says in here is that, well, I said it greater than 0. I said it greater than 0, which is 1. Because if I put equals 1, well, you see it, you're gonna get an error. So just to get it to 1, I just say it if it's greater than 0. It does not say equals than 0. It says if it's greater than 0, otherwise if it's 1, right? Then take it 1.0. Otherwise, take it 0.0. Yes. Let me see. Oh, okay, no problem. No. I want you guys to ask questions because, well, first of all, this is how I see it. Students who ask questions, they have been working on the assignment and they have been doing the work. That's how I see it. Because, first of all, if you're able to ask questions, then you know the material, right? And I think it's a very good skill to be able to ask the question. Yeah, sometimes sometimes if you are unable to phrase your question, if you're unable to word the question, it means that you might not be familiar with what's going on and etc. So, but no, I really like when people ask questions. So this is a good opportunity. So yeah, anyway, to do the plot, this is similar to what you did in your last assignment, right? So here, it's gonna just do the explore data, it's gonna do the counts, right? And in here, it's gonna show you the P class, survive, and counts. What you could also do is, if you want to be a little bit more advanced on the second part, you can do the Spark SQL, like you did in the last assignment. So I'm gonna leave it up to you, it's your choice. But this is one way to do the counts, and you need to do something like this on a part 2 for the low birth weight data, okay? So it's in here. You're using the pandas data frame here, yeah. And also, very important here, you need to convert the age to number, because if you skip this step, you will end up calculating the ASCII value. You will be calculating the average ASCII value instead of actual average age. This is very important, okay? So do not skip anything. And I believe this is what may have happened on the last assignment. Some of you did not run all cells. So for the age, you did not, if you did not run all cells, you did not convert this age to a number. Then the problem is when you print the statistics for an age, what will happen is you will get the average ASCII value, not the average age. So that's a problem, right? So you want to make sure you don't forget this step. Yes, and see here, you're just gonna do the average age of people who survived, people who died, because you kind of want to see which factor matters, right? But just from watching this Titanic movie, we know that people who are more likely survived were the first class passengers, right? Rather than the third class. We are familiar with the movie, but just suppose that we have not watched the movie, right? We're trying to see how the age, we want to look at the distribution of age, right? You want to look at the average age. Here you also want to check how many people at each social economic class survived or died. And then you also want to look at gender, right? You want to look at this. Well, in reality, I think there were more factors, but like this, right? Here, so in here, also you want to, this one will do the plot age distribution, right, for passengers who died, etc. So you want to look at this. And this one is a parsing data. Remember this, the bucket, you would have to replace this, right? Then it's calling this parse document that was defined above. You're also printing the number of records, right? You're printing the first 5 records as well. Then you're splitting data. So if you may remember back from data 630, right? You want to avoid the overfitting the model to the training data. So that's the reason why. Okay, no. I like when people ask questions. It's not repetitive. How can we use plot frequency to determine which variable could be a predictor? Well, you cannot really tell if it's a predictor or not, but sometimes when you do the frequency, you can see the pattern. Like for example, just by looking at count, I can see, for instance, majority of people who survived are class 1 passengers. You may see it. So in here, when you run it, you will see how, if you run how many people survived, how many people died by class, you will see that the first class has a higher number of survivors than the class 2 and class 3. So just by comparing this, well, you're not gonna quite see if it's a predictor, but just by examining the frequency count, you might say, okay, maybe the class matters. Because if I look at it, suppose that I have like 100 people in each class. And then I look at my first class, and in the first class, I have 80 people who survived, 20 who died. Second class, I have 50-50. Third class, I have 10 survivors, 90 people died. So see that when I look at this, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe the class matters. Well, things like that. You want to look at this and it's just a matter of interpretation, so to speak, right? So like low birth weight baby, like what could tell if the baby could survive or die, something like that, right? Or if the baby would be born underweight, I believe that's what it is. Yes. So which factors matter? You want to look at this, at how the distribution is. It's not quite, it's not. Okay. Yes, excellent. No, we want everybody to ask questions because this is the reason we're doing this session, okay? And in here, we are predicting for the test data, but remember why we need to split into the training and test, because we don't want the model to overfit to the training data, right? Because then when we put when we have the new data, right, the new passenger, and we want to predict if the passenger is going to survive or die, we want the prediction to be as accurate as possible, right? So remember that overfitting and underfitting from data 630, right? So in here, we just basically, here what it's doing, it's gonna make prediction for the test data, and then we're gonna tabulate the predictions. Basically, we want to look at number of passengers who were predicted as died, actually died, predicted survived, actually survived, etc. And that's how we look at the accuracy. And then remember that you also have to look at the F measure and the area under the ROC plot, right? And why we want the ROC plot area to aim to be closer to 1. So those things, remember that you'll need to do it in a write-up. But if you do the reading, right, try to apply the reading to this, okay? When you do analysis, try to apply what's in the reading. And another thing you want to, if you do, just little hint, if you do the frequency counts on part 2 data, you will notice that the dependent variable is imbalanced, right? So that gives you more hints about the data, right? So well, I'm not sure what's a better way to explain, but when you do an exploration, you learn more about the data and you might see some patterns in there, okay? Now, another thing is that this is important. I'm not sure how to emphasize it. You have to run everything from the top, right? Because if you skip this cell over here where the packages are defined, later you're gonna get an error because it does not know what the package is, right? Then when you edited something in a code and you want to rerun this, well, you have to do this. You do this, restart and clear output. Then while you're typing the code, you can do this. You can do stop kernel. And I want to do shutdown, right? So right now, the kernel is not running and I'm saving my hours while I'm editing the code, right? You don't want to be wasting your hours. And then when I'm done editing the code, I'm gonna do this, restart and clear output and rerun everything from the top, right? So whenever the cell returns an error, it means that the cell below it are not gonna work, right? And especially if you're getting an error while running the code that was provided to you, you need to make sure that, well, you ask TA for assistance. You need to post in the discussion forum, but please do that because on the day when the assignment is due, you don't want it to be the day when we find out that you run into issues, okay? Then for part 2, please do not post the code in a discussion because you have to write the code, right? Okay, the hours, yes, the hours will be reset at the end of the month. So basically, yes, I noticed that when prediction is 1, less than 0.5, can you please explain? I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand this. Which one? You need to show me because I don't quite follow the question. When prediction is 1, oh, well, okay. Basically, when you look at the dense vector, oh, I believe it shows does it show the probability of each class? Hold on. Okay, person info. Okay, well, I need to look exactly at the data to be able to answer it. When prediction, can you show what? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll talk about saving the HTML, but okay. Well, it's at the bottom of the page. Oh, at the bottom of the page, what at the bottom of the page? I'm trying to follow this because this one, at the bottom of the page, this is a ROC curve area. Where is the dense vector? I'm trying to understand. Dense vector? I don't see that. Please, could you please clarify which at the bottom of the page? Which one is this? Are you talking about the ROC plot? Are you talking about the ROC? Oh, this one here. This is it's looking at the relationship between a true positive, right, and a false positive rate. So this one is for the this is for the area under the ROC curve. Oh, in here. Okay. Prediction. Okay. So here, oh, okay. This is the code, right? Okay. So prediction model transform test. Okay. Oh, yeah. So here, you're looking at the prediction, right? And it's a probability. That's what it is. Class, right? And then the probability. Well, I need to look it up. But see, the thing is,
It's about that, Elena. It's about where you're looking at right now. If you just go on the top a little bit, where it is doing the prediction. So just
Oh, because I did not want to do I just want to do the answers. You have an answer key in front of you?
Yeah, so there's the prediction here. So evaluating before that the prediction of the model, where it's doing the model. That's where he's probably pointing at.
Yeah, because those
in
are
the prediction in the prediction section.
Which one?
No, still go on the top. Go up. Go up a bit. Not in the evaluation. In the prediction, where it predicts it.
Oh, in here.
No. Go up. Go up.
In here. Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
the probability.
this section. Yep.
Oh, this one, I think it's showing, doesn't it show the probability for each class? Yeah, it should show the probabilities for each class. Probabilities that it's died and probability that it survived, right? Yeah, I did not want to run this, and I did not want to show the answer key, but what it's doing in here, it's gonna show the, here is a delimited list, right? Person info is a delimited list of the variables that we use as the predictors, predictions, and the probability, I think it's a probability of a class 0 and probability of a class 1, right? Which is survived or died. There should be 2 probabilities, isn't it? Yes, that makes sense. Okay, thank you. Yes. Okay, yeah, because, well, basically sometimes I'm trying to see what question is being asked because we're not looking at the same thing. Yeah, so remember that for the logistic regression, right? You get the, it's a binary classification. Yes, there are 2 probability, yes. One is that the class is 0, and another one is the class is a 1. And the class that is a predicted class is the one that has the highest probability, because this is the binary classification. That's what we're doing. Oh, yes, excellent, yes. So if you look at the chart, yes, and then it's gonna be the 1. Yeah, because 0.8961 is higher than 0.1 something, right? So this is what the output is, right? Okay, well, see, the reason we remove the answers because we want you to try to get the answers, okay? Because if we put the answers here, then there is no, what is the purpose? I mean, what are you accomplishing? Nothing, right? So yeah, so I'm so glad that I was able to answer the question. Yeah, so you are evaluating the model, right? You're looking at this metrics, and this is left as an assignment. You need to do the reading and see what these metrics are, right? And also you need to do the area under the RAC curve plot. And I believe this is also discussed in the reading. Then you're asked to discuss the alternative methods. Especially if you have the hours left, then go to the course content. There is an ungraded exercise, naive Bayes method for this, for the Titanic data. You could actually upload that notebook and run it. One thing I want to mention that that notebook was written for an older version. So when you upload the notebook, you're gonna be prompted. There is a prompt. Something has to do with the kernel. You just want to click on the start button. That's it. You're going to be prompted because, well, I think one person asked this question in the session 9040. There is a pop-up that you will get because the notebook was written in a different Spark or different Python version. So when you upload it to the current version, you will be prompted if you want to run without kernel or if you want to start the kernel, click on the start, and that should do it, right? So yeah. Okay, so I'm just telling you that what happens if you upload the notebook written in a prior version, and the notebook still works. Everything in there still works. Okay. So, well, for part 2, this is what some people do and this is what not to do. Some people take this and they literally try to plug this in to the low birth weight data without making any changes. That's not how it works because the data is different, right? You cannot just plug it in and hoping it will work. You cannot just change the data name. What you'll do, you basically almost rewriting it. Well, you could reuse some code, but you cannot just take the parsing function as is. You will need to edit it, right? So I'm not gonna give the answer, but what I'm going to say is this. You need to first put this comment. This will help you a lot, okay? This is going to save you hours of work. So please take some time to list all of these variables and the positions they're at. Yes. So we start from scratch. Well, this is a very good question. You could start from scratch, or if you reuse it, well, you could, but you need to edit it. Because when the instructor grades it, he or she does not want to see the word Titanic, right? All code has to be done for the low birth weight data. So, well, personally, if it was me, I would probably have this HTML file on the side and started maybe from almost blank notebook, almost blank, and reuse pieces. But definitely this parsing function is going to be different. Well, there's more than one.
In either case, I suggest that you understand some pieces of the code here, which is very important. And the first piece is this parsing piece. If you get why this parsing function is used, why it is using three pieces of information that it is loading into the model building, you got it. I think that's the key here, guys. So I would suggest that there are some key blocks in this code that you can use it as a template or refer to it and understand why it is done this way.
Yes. Because in the past we had students who did not succeed on this assignment because they did not pay attention to instructions. They tried to plug it in without editing the code, right? Things like that. And yes, some of you in session 9040 had difficulties with downloading the file as HTML. Look, download as HTML. And then in here, see what it's doing? It depends on the browser. In mine, it just downloaded it to the downloads folder. Then I click on open files, there we go. Well, see this? That's it. And it saved this into the downloads folder. That's how you download it as an HTML. Okay? Oh, okay, most welcome. Yes, yes. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that this is clear. Yes. Okay. Well, yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Sometimes it's easier to update an example. That's right. But the thing is, let's say this way, what works for you might not work for me. What works for you and for me might not work for Linish. What works for Linish might not work for me. You know, everybody has a different work style. So you do it the way it works for you, right? But you need to do it right. That's all. Okay. Do we need to use something other than Chrome? Well, this one is what is this? I'm using this one, the IE browser. No, it's not IE. Windows Explorer. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm always confusing the browser names. But no. I'm not using the I'm not using the Chrome right now. It's on it's a different browser. Sometimes I tried Firefox, okay, or you can use this one, Microsoft Edge. Sorry, Firefox seems to work. Yes. For the PDF is also okay because what you could do here is this. You can do well. You can print this as PDF. That's right. You can do this Control P. It depends on the browser. Sometimes you can do Control P, print, and then you select see this Microsoft PDF, and then it will save it to PDF. In fact, sometimes it's even better because the visualizations do not get saved. in the HTML sometimes. So or that sometimes Watson Studio just opens a blank tab and I have to reload the kernel. Okay. Well, yeah, but the thing is check because sometimes, yeah, it looks like it opened the blank tab, but check the downloads folder. Sometimes maybe it does not open the file, but the file got actually saved, okay? Yes. Yeah, you'll be trying, yes, that's right. Okay, good, yes. Sometimes if one way does not work, we try the other way. Let's say it this way, right? And what works for me might not work for someone else. So that's the reason sometimes I would show multiple ways to do something because what works for one person does not work for the other, you know. Okay. Okay. Can you go over the label, target? Okay, yes, sure, let's go over it. Basically, label document is, let's look at it as an object that you need to pass to the regression function as an input. And this is the format. It has three pieces here. The first piece is something that identifies each data row, each record uniquely. In my case, it's going to be person ID. Person info is going to be space delimited list of the dependent variables, right? And label is a target, but it has to be, the values must be either 0.0 or 1.0. So I need to have something in this form. So what was done is the function. Oh, see this, I also have a blank tab because the file was saved. The file was saved to the downloads folder instead of opening, so that's why. Okay, now I'm going back here. So what this is doing here is this. I need to return something like this here, which is the person ID. It's in position number 5. Then here, I have to take the delimited list. So that's basically everything else besides the ID, besides target variable. In this case, if I was writing a paper, I would write that I excluded the name because the name does not really help in here. It's first of all, it's a PII, right? Personal identifying information. We don't want this to be part of analysis, right? And in fact, the things like this could affect the method performance sometimes. But anyway, we don't want the name because, well, the name doesn't really determine if you survived or died. So here I take the delimited list and you want to put all other variables, right? In my case, they're position 1, 2, and 3. And then it's here, right? And then here, this is a target, but I create a local variable called survive and I set it to 1.0 if this at position 4 is greater than 0, which is 1. Well, I tried to do equal 1, but for some reason it did not work, so I just put it greater than 0. Well, it's not a good probably way to do it because sometimes you could have, if it's a different method, you could have more than 2 values, but well, in this case it worked. Okay, so then you need to discuss other methods that you think would have worked. So do not limit yourself to the regression and naive Bayes. Perhaps you could also look at the decision tree, right? Neural network, you don't have to actually implement it, but you need to discuss why would you try to use it, right? Okay. So I hope this this helps. And on this slide here, I took this and I labeled it for you. Unlabeled. Okay, yes, I'm glad it was helpful. Yes. So yeah, well, over here I just put like little arrows, what goes where, just to label this. And here just a pipeline, a different element that it's taken. The tokenizer is going to split what's called person info, right, into words and add this to the data frame. Then this guy here, it will convert the new words into feature vectors, and then you've got the pipeline to produce the model. That's what is going on in here, right? Then here, these two web pages are some examples that you could look at. This one is to predict whether a heating and ventilation and air conditioning system is operational, right? So it's checking if the set point temperature is the same as an actual temperature. And if it is, then it's gonna set the target to 1.0, right? It will set the target to either 0.0 or 1.0, depending if the actual temperature is the same as the set point, right? And this one is the food inspection data too. So you could look at these two notebooks as an example, okay? And that was it. So not that many slides, but mainly the purpose of this was to answer questions, okay? And yeah, another thing that I wanted to point out, last assignment, there were some ungraded exercises, and some of you chose not to do it, and it's a mistake because whatever is ungraded today could become graded tomorrow. So, especially the last exercise where you were asked to, this is the employee attrition, on the last SQL exercise, you were asked to produce something like this, right? You want to list the department, and in the same row, you want to list how many employees left, how many stayed, and total number of employees, something like this. Believe me, you're going to see this type of questions in the future, okay? Well, in this specific scenario, if here the values of attrition are 0 and 1, right? So what you could do is you could just take sum of ones, right? And that could give you, I believe it's either, it depends, is it one state? Okay, look at this left, right? So here you're taking the sum. It means if an employee is left, then the value is 1, right? You're taking the sum. Then here, count is going to be the total, and then you're taking the difference, right? So in here, it's relatively easy because you have at attrition, it's either 0 or 1, right? But you're going to see the cases where the actual values are not 0 or 1, so you would have to add the case statement. So not on this assignment, but on the next assignment, there are going to be some, again, ungraded exercises. You will have another opportunity to practice something like this. But then for assignment 3, they're going to be graded. And this semester assignment 3 is going to be different data from the last semester assignment 3, okay? So yes, something like this will come up. So make sure you see the solution right now, right? Or if you're watching this recording, just make sure that it makes sense. This is the last ungraded exercise from last assignment, right? So just I want to make sure that everybody follows it, right? But exercise before it, it was just different. So look at it this way. You had graded exercises, and then each ungraded exercise is just added complexity. You're grouping by 2 fields, then you're grouping by 3 fields, and then you're doing something like that, like I just discussed. Okay, let me see. We have questions in the chat. A tough part for me was limited SQL. Okay, well, you're gonna learn more SQL, and I mean, this is what happened. Since my degree was in the DBST, and I work with SQL daily, I want everybody, all data 50 students, to pick up some SQL from me. It could be maybe you'll see different way to do something, but we're going to have the SQL session in a few weeks from now, and I'll try to do advanced SQL, okay? Well, yeah, no worries, because everybody's expertise is different. For me, SQL is the strongest. Maybe for you, Python is the strongest, or maybe for some of you, R is the strongest. It depends maybe on what you see more on a daily basis, and also maybe which one you were introduced first, okay? For HBase, we could not wrap my mind. Well, yeah, for HBase, it's a NoSQL database. It's not a relational database. This is where you store the key value pairs. You don't have the schema defined ahead of time. Like in Oracle, you would create table and you have a structure ahead of time, yes. But well, you still can do the alter table statements to add columns to it, but HBase is different. You have column families and you add families on the fly just by inserting data. You cannot do this in a relational database. You have to do the alter table statement to add the column. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah, no problem. But yes, it's a lot of concepts, but the only way you learn it is actually working with this, because, well, many years ago, maybe like 9 years ago, something like that, I was an Oracle database administrator. This is how I pick things up. But now on my full-time job, I do more on the reporting side, and I do the learning management system. I'm not sure if you heard about uh, success factors or SAP, or it used to be called Plateau before. They keep on renaming it, but it's a system that tracks training. And I do a lot of the SQL and a lot of reporting. So this is how I got proficient with SQL. It's because this is something that I've been doing for a long time and daily. Well, the more you do it, the better you get at it. That's the thing. So nothing to worry about. And in this class, you expose a little bit of something, but a little bit of everything. But to become really proficient, you need to actually sit down and do it. Okay? So I hope it makes sense, right? I mean, Linesh, is there anything you would like to add? Linesh? Yeah, would you like to add something for this assignment that people may find useful?
No, I think I mentioned it earlier. Just pay attention to a few key parts of the code that you just went through. That's as I said, that we've seen a lot of students, struggling with the parsing function, or how basically the model was built. So if you understand that part, because running this code is not going to take much time. Think about it. I mean, you could just execute it in a few minutes, all the pieces of the code. Understanding is the main part here, that why you are parsing that, row by row, and in building chunks of that each row and putting it in the model, right? So that's the key there. If you understand that part, the other assignment, you could use this code as a template, update it, and there you go. You'd be ready with your next assignment as well.
Yeah. But the hours, yes, like, I think there should be enough hours if you use this wisely, yeah. But yes, as somebody asked earlier, yes, the hours will be reset. Because for the next assignment, what you'll be using, it's using a little bit less the capacity unit hours. Well, there will be two parts. There will be DB2, it does not use the capacity unit hours, but the RStudio, it does, but it's using 1 per hour, not 1.5. Well, I have to check. They always change. They always change. Okay. What is this? How to do what? Oh, correlation. Oh, this one, Yes, I'll need to agree. So Kaplana, you want an example of the what do you call it? Correlation matrix? Okay. Yes, we need to give you that example. I believe, oh, this is what you could do, guys. There is a gallery. There is what do you call it? Watson Studio Gallery. You could look through those examples in the gallery. So let's do this. I'm going to exit this, right? I'm gonna exit this and I'm gonna stop the runtime environment. Okay, and I'm gonna go to gallery and maybe we can find it in there. So let's see, let's go to the manage. Oops, not sure what's going on, but anyway, now I know which project I was in, right? I was in this project, so I can stop the runtime environment from here because I want to make sure that, oh, it stopped, no environment running, so I'm good. Anyway, so let's look at this. Here you have this gallery, and the gallery has a lot of the sample notebooks. So maybe one of the notebooks here does what we need, right? So you're gonna go here, you're gonna put these filters, notebook. Well, then you want to look at something like a prediction, right? Or something like, well, you want to check all of the notebooks where you do something like, where you're predicting something or where you are analyzing something, right? You will find it. You will find it just by looking through this, and well, you can check it. You can check on customer chart and see if it's in there. This is a code reuse, okay? This is a code reuse. You never know. So, oops, I thought it opened. Yeah, so you could check here. If they're doing it here, then it's a fair game. If they're not, then you can check another one. Because I mean, I'm not going to write it on the fly, of course, but okay, we could find the code and then yeah, Linesh Kaplan is in your session, right?
Yes, I think
So
so.
yeah, so what we could do is after this, we could find an example and do post in a discussion. Yeah, yeah. So she's asking the correlation code. Yes, she's asking about the code to do the correlation. I think I had it somewhere, but I need to find out. One way to do this, another way to find it is to do this. See this? You have a lot of sample notebooks. So, oh, okay, no problem, because sometimes you can find stuff in here that you want to borrow, all right? So I looked at the customer chart and it's not in there, but yeah, you can look through this. Let me see. This is not accepting the data frame. Okay, yeah, you could share, you could put the discussion question, yes, but it would be preferable if you put it, well, is it on Titanic data? Because if it's on Titanic, then you can put, but if it's not, then you'll need to do the email, okay? Because we don't want the part 2 posted, okay? Okay, not accepting the data frame. Well, we need to look at the errors. Okay, yeah, no problem. But in general, what I would recommend, guys, that you look at this, because here you can find something that you could apply to your.
So Kalpana, just one check. Maybe just check if all your variables are numerical variables. If any of them are text variables, maybe that could be an issue. So check your data frame.
Yeah, good point. That's right. Yeah, you need to do the conversion. Oh, yeah, that's right. Like you saw what I did for the age variable, right? You have to do like all of them. you have to make sure, because it's not gonna work for the character data. Yes, thank you, Inish. Yes, I think that could be it. That could be it. But in general, what I was gonna suggest is that there are some good examples of visualizations, etc., that you could reuse the code. Yes, you try. Okay, yes. Yeah, you do after the conversion, because, well, every function it takes a certain data types, right? That's why, yeah. But in general, what I was gonna say is that you're not limited to visualizations that were done in Titanic data. For your other one, you can pick any visualizations in other examples. Like, you don't have to stay with a bar plot. If you want it as a pie chart, go ahead, no problem, yeah. So here are samples that you could borrow things from, okay? Yeah. So I would recommend, when you get chance, because, well, you will still have access, right, to the course material for 4 months, I think. And you still have access to your account, right? So after the class ends, and if you have time, I would recommend that you take a look at some of the samples, okay? And you're gonna learn a lot just from looking at this. And you could actually save this to your project, right? Because later on, you're gonna get hours for July, which you will use for assignment 3, right? Then you're gonna have August hours, September hours, But some students choose to use Watson Studio applications for the data 670. All things like database that we're gonna use in next assignment, yes. And I promise that we're gonna have something on a SQL, because I want everybody to pick up something from me. And I've been doing SQL for a long time, and since I'm DBST major, but DBSTs, I do a little bit of big data also. So you cannot just separate database from this. It's a lot, because if you're DBST, there are other courses that you have to take, like networking, because if you look at it this way, distributed database, right? So you got the networking. It's all related, all right? And one course is in common. Data 630, there is a similar course in the database program, something like Data 630, data mining. Yeah, so there is a lot of stuff in common in the programs, both programs. So, yeah. Let's see, we have other questions? Questions, guys?
No, I don't see any other questions in the group chat.
Okay. Well, but we will be available to help if things come up during the weekend, etc. Well, I check every few hours, and I think Lanesh does that too. So, but what we don't want to happen is this. You don't ask for assistance, but then when you submit your assignment, you tell the instructor that you spent hours on an error. We don't want this to happen, right? If there is an issue, we want to know about it. The sooner the better, okay? And also, if you end up not getting the code to work, it's better to turn in something than nothing, okay? It's better to turn in something than not to turn in the work at all. Trust me, okay? Well, it's just from experience, because, yeah. All right, and this assignment is very big, so please, everybody take it seriously, right? It has a higher weight than any of the assignments that you had so far. And also, guys, discussions are very important, because I need to tell you, one of the courses I took, the discussion was a deal breaker. I had to get close to 100 on discussion to get an A in the course. There was a course I took where I got 90 even. Discussion makes a difference. If I did a little bit poor on a discussion, I would have gotten a B, but discussion pushed to an A. So sometimes the discussion could be a deal breaker. So please, please, please make sure you do that, okay? I don't know how to stress it, but in my case, it was either A or B. In somebody else's case, it could be either B or C. So please remember, you don't want to lose your points on a discussion
And if
board.
you want to gain some more brownie points, look
Yeah.
at the Kaggle competition. Very simple. We've already, almost halfway through the course. If you have not started, working on it, just work on it. It's very simple, guys. Let me tell you, it
Yeah.
is not rocket science at all. You'll enjoy it, and you'll also understand and know the platform, which is used so much outside. And some of you may already know about it. But yeah, I mean, that could gain you some more points, some brownie points. And,
Oh,
as I said,
yeah.
could be a difference between your B and A or maybe C to B.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, we had somebody who uh, passed the course because of doing this, right? Did
Yep,
we? Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah. And please don't count on instructor rounding because I know that there are some schools, well, at least there are some schools where rounding is prohibited. So, like, if you get 89.99999, it's a B. That's the thing. Some schools, well, I know that there are some, at least in Pennsylvania. Well, it's based on what people told me. Some schools, they prohibit rounding. So if it's 89.99999, it's a B. 90 is an A. So it has to be at least 90 even. Some instructors round, some instructors don't. So don't count on this, please. Okay? But if you are 89.9999 and if you did this competition, then you're gonna be like 92.999. Well, sometimes this could make a big difference, yes. 3%. So basically, if you did this and missed one discussion, then you got it covered. But do as much as you can because everything counts, everything matters at the end. Okay? Everything matters at the end. I mean, both of us, Linesh has masters, I have masters, right? So we're trying to tell you, we're trying to help you. That's all. Right, Linesh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you did Spark too. Yeah.
All right. I think this was a great session.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed it and there were good
Oh,
questions.
we have something else in the chat.
No,
Oh, okay, most welcome, most welcome. So yeah, I'm gonna end the recording and then the recording will be posted when it's available. It takes a little bit of time to generate. So I'm gonna do, hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna do this recording, stop recording. You want to stop? Yeah.